Asiatic country, Bhutan has its version of Chinese dragons, and their name is Druk. More so than with terrestrial waters, they tend to be associated with the water from the sky, though. The Druk control the thunder, the lightning, the rain and all the weathery phenomena originating in, or falling from the clouds. For this reason they became associated with abundance, blessings and benevolence. Like their Chinese counterparts, the Druk are wise and angelic beings, by many considered the ancestors of the Bhutanese people. In old times, the kings of Bhutan have been named Druk Gyalpa, which means Thunder Dragon Kings, the Thunder Dragons being of course, the Druk. They are a huge part of the Drukpa lineage, a sect of mystic and occult practitioners of Buddhism. According to a legend, when the sect's founder, Zongpa Gyar, began to build Rilung Monastery, there was a violent storm. As the thunder is seen as the roar of the dragon, he named the monastery Drug Rilung, adding the word Thunder Dragon to the name, perceiving the sudden breakout of a storm as an omen from dragons. No surprise that to this day, the Druk are considered a national emblem of Bhutan and remains proud and visible on the country's flag as both a national symbol and a sign of loyalty.
The Lu are very similar to the Hindi Naga and Vietnamese Lus. They are huge, aquatic serpent-type dragons possessing great power and able to both bless and curse the people depending on their actions. They are said to reside in subterranean lands and waters, sometimes linked to the Buddhist and Hinduist concept of underground underworld, but unlike in Western concept of underworld being linked to hellish realms, these creatures can be both benevolent and malevolent, depending how one approaches them. As nature spirits that they are, the environment is incredibly important to them, as it's their second home. Polluting or destroying the environment can bring their wrath, their powerful curses and severe illnesses onto an offender. On the other hand, offerings of milk or grains can be served as a sacrifice to tame and soften the hearts of the spirits, so they will bring prosperity to one's family and keep them safe from harm.
The Soman are mermaid or merman-like spirits of Bhutanese folklore, most often depicted as invisible to human beings. Being separate from the visible world of earthly nature and its animals, they are guardians of nature and they will protect it fiercely wherever they reside. Still, they can be appeared with proper offerings and bargained with in order to keep certain people safe in their own domains. Living naturally in calm, serene lakes, they can bestow blessings upon the people that appease them, but as their primary role is that of a guardian of their respective lakes, disturbing or polluting these places is not a good idea when you don't want to enrage these beings.
Arak have dual nature, but their malevolent instincts seem to come up in conversations about them more often. From one hand, people make offerings for them in order to stay safe and be spared from their wrath, while visiting the seas they may reside in. But that's not where their influence ends. Offerings made by one person are one thing, and the Arak may protect that one person in their domain. But if someone even touches these offerings and fails to properly apologize for that, can be met with repercussions. And these repercussions can be severe. They can possess you, they can possess your family, they can curse someone with illness and death if they wish to. They are also known for drowning the people they don't like when they cross the waters of their domain. They can also possess mediums who contact with them to reveal certain kinds of informations the medium seeks to know, and if one dedicates a shrine in their home for them, they can serve as protectors against other malevolent spirits.
The Niktha are Cambodian ancestral spirits, both supernatural in origin and tied to the human line of Cambodian first rulers and founders, tied to the worship of nature, regarded as masters of water and air. Local Niktha were worshipped and praised as earth gods or local gods in various old cultural rituals, ceremonies, and national events, until the arrival and oppression from the Khmer Rouge, who attempted to replace Niktha as rulers of earth and water with their own deified Communist Party. Nowadays this political tension is no longer, but its fruits are visible to this day, with the worship of the ancestral semi-divine spirits have become scarce. Very few local groups still venerate and worship the Niktha, and no official temple dedicated to them survived to this day. The few people that still keep their ancestors' practices alive often use amulets, offerings, incense, and such stuff to show their gratitude and devotion, and many altars dedicated to them are simple miniature cabins suspended from a branch or organized on a beach side, where little devotionals in form of roots, rocks, minerals, and other such stuff are gathered in honor of the Niktha.
Apsaras are one of the most ethereal beings of Hindu mythology. Beautiful ethereal female beings associated at first with water and clouds, later on evolved into general nymph-like figures. Long-lived or immortal, yet forever youthful, forever beautiful and forever fit and alluring in their dance movements, these beings are said to entertain gods with their ethereal dance. Indra, the supreme god of Hindu pantheon, ruler of thunder, is said to have a court of 26 Apsaras as personal entertainers and lovers, each one of them symbolizing a different facet of the arts and crafts. Some are lovers of gods, others, like famous Aridvisura, are goddesses themselves. Sometimes, they use their charm and seduction in order to distract the enlightened humans from achieving divine powers, be it for malefic or benevolent intentions. Soma Apsaras take humans as their lovers. An entire hymn 95 of Rigveda deals with the colloquy between an Apsara named Urvashi and her mortal lover Puravas.
The Nagas are very ancient, semi-divine serpentine race of humanoids who can alternate between fully humanoid, human-serpent hybrid and full huge cobra serpent form at will in an instant. They reside in an underworld realm called Padala and have their own society much like humans do, with a king called Nagaraja at the head of the system. Revered among both Hinduists and Buddhists alike for over 2,000 years, they are believed to be spirit guardians of many natural places, like the Himalayan mountains. Heavily associated with water, the legends about them state that region of Nalamada Purana and Swayambhu Purana started off as huge lakes in which numerous male and female Nagas lived, prior to being dried out and made into a human city. In their home realm, Patala Loka, also called Nagaloka after them, they are said to gather and guard innumerable treasures of gems, precious stones, and gold. They possess a potent venom, at least as strong as that of a natural cobra and possibly much stronger too, giving their supernatural origin and huge size, but they rarely use it on humans and prefer to help their mortal earthly sublocators instead, whenever they are in need. Although for those cruel and blasphemous, they can bring a horrible punishment. Male Nagas are called Nags while females are called Naganis. Their mortal enemy is said to be another semi-divine being, a bird-like spirit called Garuda, with who they are said to be in eternal conflict, possibly mirroring earthly animosity between some snakes and some birds who feed on them. They are said to be sacred to the main god of the Hindu pantheon, Lord Shiva, who is often depicted alongside 9-headed Nagas and with venomous snakes wrapped around his neck or waist.
The Yakshas, male, or Yakshinis, female, are powerful shape-shifting nature spirits, more often than not associated with harm and malevolence. Like Slavic Vilas or Rusalkas, they can be associated with any natural phenomena and element: fire, water, earth, air, swamps, lakes, forests, and so on. Usually benevolent. Like any other spirit, they could turn capricious and vengeful. While some Yakshas and Yakshinis have been associated with helpful and benevolent fairies, others, much darker ones, had a reputation similar to a Rakshasa demon. They were feared for luring humans to their dwelling place, only to devour them when they're near. Locally viewed as guardian spirits or even nature gods, these beings were mostly treated with great reverence that came from both admiration and fear. The king of Yakshas was said to be a being named Kabura, a deity of abundance, wealth, and prosperity, seen as protector of the world, Yakshas, and mortals alike, often depicted alongside goddess Lakshmi. Alternatively, Indian Buddhists see Yakshas not as nature spirits, but deformed orge-like beings, who were born this way because of sins committed in their past lives as humans. In their version, the Yakshas are huge, tall, and monstrous beings that usually go against famous Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, portraying them as villain figures. Not much is known about the Momok. Their name may come from the influence of Japan and its term mononoke, being used to refer to a general sightings of non-human spirits. The Google research does not provide any more info than that they are said to be fair maidens from deep pools, a type of nymph-like feminine aquatic spirit that emerge at night from a portal under the water that leads to a type of paradise-like realm they originate from. Like most water nymphs, they are said to seduce human men and intermingling with human society. Not much more is known about them, their intentions, or anything like that.
Wairor Kidal is Indonesian water spirit, akin to a Chinese Xian or immortal, a sort of nymph or fairy, locally deified as a goddess. Her name literally means ruler of the southern sea. She was said to be born as a daughter of Sunda king, expelled from the kingdom because of schemes of her own stepmother, and became an apprentice to a local goddess of nature, Kening Ratu Kidal. At times depicted as a mermaid or in a form of such, with majestic fish-like tail and a body of otherworldly beautiful woman. She is said to be given the power to take away the soul of whoever she desires. She is sometimes depicted as a snake as well, due to an assumption that in her earthly life, she might have suffered from leprosy, which could at the time be linked to snake shedding its skin and could paint her as unnatural or cursed. Legend says that on the command of Kening Ratu Kidal, she would come to the earth with an army of undead sea spirits in order to punish the wrongdoers, cause them harm, or even death. Green is said to be her sacred color, and she is seen herself as dressed in green, gold, or native down. For this reason, inhabitants of the southern sea, which is said to fall under her jurisdiction, are warned not to wear this color on themselves, as it could bring her wrath on those wearing it. Local fishermen of Palawan Ratu town, known for its fishing business, often offer gifts and offerings to her and conduct a special ceremony for her every April 6th, in belief that this will appease the Queen of the South Sea and provide them with plentiful cash and good weather for voyages.
The sea Kamanan's description varies from the local minor water deities to just water spirits, depending who you ask. Most indigenous Mentawai of Indonesia in particular perceive them as ritual helpers. These spirits were deeply associated with the seas and rivers and were said to be dwelling in both. Each place containing such aquatic spirits was said to demand respect in the form of proper offerings, or else the spirits dwelling within might not allow for safe passage or curse a trespassing individual with misfortune. They were central to the well-being of the community, as many local villages and towns lived off the seas and rivers and the fish they caught from them. Therefore, communication with the locally inhabiting water spirits was a key aspect to the prosperity of the entire community. People attempted to appease them with all means necessary, be it by hiring a skilled shaman or medium to perform a ritual on their behalf, or by their own humble prayers and offerings, aiming to be blessed by the spirits they fall into communion with. Indian Nagas could be both aquatic and terrestrial. Their Indonesian cousins, the Ular Naga though, are mostly related to water sources alone. These versatile spirits can shapeshift freely between humanoid and snake-like dragon form. They are linked to the domain of underworld, akin to Hindi Patala, and are said to appear in and control any freshwater sources on Earth, not limited to Indonesia alone. Hence, perhaps all countries have their local version of Ular Naga. As threatening as they look, their main role is that of a guardian. They guard their respective water sources, the coasts and all creatures living on it, as well as the human populations of neighboring towns and villages. It's even believed an Ular Naga was a founder of local Levikas, a village, and dragon-like motifs are found there everywhere. Some say that these motifs could be inspired from the neighboring China and their deep love for the long dragons, implying that what the Indonesians call Ular Naga may be the same as Chinese dragons, or at least a local variant of them. They certainly seem to share not only their serpentine dragon-like form and affinity to waters, but their angelic devotion to their role as protectors and defenders of both nature and people alike, along with their fiery temper that can make them from protectors to predators in a split second if wronged. To this day, many hand-woven professional attires abound with symbolics of giant dragons and serpents related to the Ular Naga. It's said that the patron of the Gita Bako lineage was able to communicate with these beings himself, on spiritual level, and frequently gave offerings to his spiritual snake-like friends. To this day, common people and shamans alike offer tobacco and animal sacrifices at the banks of water sources to appease these beings, pray to them for protection and curing of severe illnesses. Still, in the era of technology and civilization, these beings never ceased to be loved and praised, and their influence never wore off from the people's hearts.
The Nok are water spirits from pre-Buddhist times in Laos, especially known among the Thai tribes. Along with very similar beings called Nguak, they live in the deep waters on the earth, but are not corporeal, but rather spiritual in nature. As they chase and play in the waters, their huge bodies created river channels, ponds, lakes, even mountains where the dug-out earth was said to sediment. They were said to control weather, bring beneficial rainfall at the end of each dry season, encouraged by special ceremonials of the locals. Integral to the belief system and culture of the Laos people, the married couple of the Nok was said to be the founding ancestors of the Luang Prabang lineage of rulers and people of Laos. When there's drought, they are said to slumber, so people shoot fireworks and rockets into the sky to wake them up and bring rain. An annual ceremony is held by the native population, where the most skilled mediums commune with the serpentine forefathers of their people's lineage and ask them and their heroic sons for blessings and pay official tribute to them by lush sacrifices and offerings. These auspicious creatures are said to bless the rural community that depends on the crops and the water circulation for living and income, with rains, and therefore are widely associated with luck, prosperity and good fortune, as all these factors depend on the rain they bring. To this day, the modern Buddhist worship intertwines with the honor and praise paid to the wonderful marine serpents. As in ceremonies related to Buddha, the Nok are invoked too, and their contribution to the society is asked in rituals like pouring water over Buddha's statue. Malaysian term hantu air literally means water spirit, with hantu being a general term for ghosts, ghouls, spirits, and souls of dead people, and air meaning water. Thus invisible inhabitants of oceans, lakes, swamps and rivers could be benevolent or malevolent to humans, and their approach to an individual depends entirely on that individual. Disrespect them, destroy or disturb the environment they live in, and they can become downright demonic, going as far as possessing you and your family. But approached with respect and appeased by rituals and offerings, these spirits can help you, bless you, and share their wisdom with you. Enraged, though, they can curse an individual with grave illness or even go as far as invoking a catastrophic flood, claiming many lives. Though their malevolence seems to suggest otherwise, they weren't inherently evil, and if approached by an exorcist or shaman who deduces their intention and wishes to make amends on the behalf of possessed person, or tormented place, they can withdraw their anger, cease the dangerous activity and leave and heal the possessed individual back to proper health. They could read people's hearts and could drag and drown underwater any person of ill intentions that wandered to their domain. Many unexplained drownings were often attributed to these nature spirits. Agricultural workers often prayed to these spirits, for them to cause beneficial rain to nurture their crops, and fishermen regularly paid offerings for them in order to guarantee a safe sea voyage and plentiful catch. All in all, you were good to them, they were good to you. You offended them, and you will regret ever being born. The Berberoka is a creature inhabiting large bodies of water, mostly those that people rely on to gain food and income from fishing in. They tend to be depicted as huge and monstrous. Although its appearance is not really touched upon in most accounts, the large part of the mythology concerning them depicts the way these nature spirits hunt. They can suck water from the place they currently inhabit, leaving the fish and other water creatures inside weak and powerless, but it's not them that these spirits prey upon. When a human notices the commotion and gets close to gather the fish for income or just investigate the phenomena, the Berberoka rapidly spits the water back, drowning the person and eating them. That's not all they can do to you, though. These entities can attack from under the water as well, throwing water gathered in their mouths of lungs at their victim, drowning them or knocking them unconscious, before snatching them. There is no known way you can defend yourself from these creatures by yourself. Their only known weakness are crabs. They are said to be deadly afraid of crabs and avoid them wherever they can, be it in the water or on the land. So, I guess the only way to run for your life and save yourself from their grasp is to show them a crab or throw one at them. But if the Berberoka aims at you or proceeds to devour you and there are no crabs nearby, let's just say you're cooked.
The Dewata are to the Filipino what nymphs and naiads are to the Greeks, a sort of nature spirits or minor deities, loved and worshipped for their connection to nature and what it can provide. There are various Dewatas just as there are various Rusalka or Vela species. each linked with other natural element. The Dewata and Tibig are the spirits of water, serving as their guardians and protectors. These spirits, most often depicted as beautiful female nymphs or goddesses, tend to protect everything that lives in or near the waters. All fisherfolk on land and marine life underwater are under their devoted protection. Under their watchful eye, all fishermen and sailors are said to have safety, protection, and fortune. They keep the balance of the ecosystem, and if a human would be dumb enough to mess with that balance, their punishment can be severe.
The Kata are the highest-ranking race of merfolk among all of the marine spiritual creatures on the Filipino lore. All Sirenos, Cyrenos and Siakava-like answer to and are subjugated by the Kata. They live in the underwater divine realm called Bantay Tubig and serve as guardians of the water itself. Some hunt for humans, disguised as fishermen asking for help, and when approached, they reveal their true nature and attack. They possess the ability no other Filipino merfolk possess, the power to control weather, cause hurricanes, floods, torrential rains and storms whenever they desire. They are also cryogenetics, able to change water into ice in their natural forms. They are humanoidal with fish-like tails and gills in various parts of their body like the neck or the ribs. But they can use their strong magic to transform into more human-looking shape to walk on land and hunt for the unsuspecting victims.
Filipino mythology talks about two types of benevolent mermaids, the female Sirenas and male equivalent Surinos. Like your typical merfolk, they have a torso of a beautiful humanoid, but lower body of a fish-like being. Note I said benevolent, but even the Bible tells us that not even God and angels are fully benevolent. When you piss a spirit off, you gonna get your ass kicked by them. Yes, Sirenas are good spirits, but that doesn't mean you can toy or mess with them. Offend or hurt a spirit, and you will pay the price. The beautiful Sirenas and Surinos have equally otherworldly enchanting voice. So beautiful and magnetizing, that no one who listens to them can resist its allure. And when a Sirena or Surino manages to lure such human to him or herself, they usually drag them underwater, drowning them brutally and sacrificing them to the underwater gods they worship. Other times, the beautiful creatures pretend to drown and cry for help, only to snatch and drown an unfortunate human who fell victim to their hoax. But they are complex beings with complex emotions and intelligence. They can fall in love with human men or women, and upon forming in union with their mate from the land, they usually become peaceful and obedient wives or calm and loving husbands. In pre-colonial Philippines, it was believed that during the full moon, one of the embodiments of the moon named Bulan descended from the heavens to swim with the mermaids, and that the mermaids protected the celestial boy moon from sea monsters, predators or protectors. Filipino mythology wonderfully illustrates that one does not have to exclude and sometimes downright has to include the other.
The Sayakoi of the Filipino may be a local equivalent to the Chinese Shuigui, as these spirits seem to follow a similar pattern: always male, always deceitful or malevolent, and always related to the water. Much more bestial in nature than mostly benevolent Sirenas and Surinos of the same folklore, these creatures possess humanoid legs instead of a fish tail, but that's where the similarity to humans ends. Scaled, with webbed feet and palms and fins growing from their backs and limbs, these aquatic humanoids are said to be incredibly hostile, often kidnapping people just to drown them and devour them with their sharp dagger-like teeth and claws. Active predators, they see humans as nothing more than just yet another source of meat to feast on, and are said to stalk and attack humans even on land, as their humanoid limbs allow them for aquatic and terrestrial locomotion alike. There are many similarities between the Unkoi and aforementioned Sequoia. Both are hostile towards humans with Piscine humanoid attributes who hunt by pulling their victims beneath the water. Unkoi, though, tends to serve more as a protector of the water sources these specimens inhabit, rather than malevolent man-eaters actively predating on humans. Their lakes, rivers, or ponds are theirs and theirs alone. If anyone wanders there or tries to cross the water bodies uninvited, can be sure the spirit will take it personally, snatch them from beneath the waters and drag them to their deaths. These bipedal creatures with aquatic adaptations tend to not only inhabit water bodies, but also live and rest in the caves and rocky entrances nearby. As they are only male, it's unclear whether they procreate with other merfolk, or do they use human women for that purpose.
The Prayanaga are serpentine or dragon-like creatures, very similar to the Chinese long mixed with Hindi Naga. They can have one head, or like Hindi depictions of snake gods, multiple heads, with glistering scales and large, red eyes as their trademark. They are considered semi-divine in nature and considered as such by many Buddhist and Hinduist worshippers alike. They are often depicted as powerful protectors of treasures and temples, and kings and rulers of rivers and streams, strongly associated with Mankang area in particular. They are said to be skilled shapeshifters, being able to assume human form at will and probably assume other forms as well to guard their domain and keep the harmful human influences off of it. They are said to be linked with underworld, and wherever they appear, a presence of will-o'-the-wisps is also noted, adding to their mystical character. These fiery ball displays are said to appear annually on Mekong's waters and swampy areas, reminding the human inhabitants of the Prayanaga and their influence. Their name literally translates to kings of snakes or lords of snakes, hinting at their status of superiors both among the earthly snakes and among the Naga deities.
The Phi Fry are marine spirits from the Thai folklore, more often than not depicted as female. Though males of this species are not said to be absent, they were believed to haunt all types of water sources and water bodies, no matter if natural or man-made. Both open waters like rivers, swamps, seas and oceans, as well as wells and ponds, were said to house these spirits. They were believed to be the souls of the people who drowned in the particular water body, or drowned somewhere, but chose to haunt this particular location from one reason or another. Like most water spirits, these beings too attempt to kidnap and drown humans on more than one occasion, in opposite to those that drown and kill people out of malevolence or need to revenge. Though, the Fry Pry seem more lonely and desperate, rather than evil. They seek to find people to join them in their underwater realm. They drag people underneath and take their breath away, not because they want to kill them, but because they know if they will kill them this way, their victims will join them in their marine realm, and they will no longer feel lonely and sad. They have amphibian-like or fish-like features depending on an individual spirit, and they can temporarily mask these features to some degree, in order to emerge from the waters to lure and seduce human men and women, and when they get close, drown them, to be with them forever. This seems brutal from our perspective, but if we look at the situation from their point of view, they were imprisoned in dark, cold realm that they died in, all alone, and they want to just have someone to bond with, not someone to steal their soul. It's kind of sad when you think about it this way.
Like the Phi Fray, the Phi Thale are another kind of water spirits, often inhabiting seas and other open water sources. Frequently associated with various phenomena occurring at the sea like sea storms and sea merge the sailors can encounter while on their way. They are especially associated with the seas, and most of their activities is said to happen there. Although disembodies, these spirits may manifest in the form of St. Elmo's fires, the spectral lights sometimes seen at the top of the ships, or other visual and optical illusions that arise at the sea. They are not said to be either protective, nor aggressive towards humans, and their presence is most likely associated with a spectral watcher type, a silent guardian that sometimes reminds of their unseen presence through natural occurrences.